Da-da-da-da! Hello and welcome.
Welcome.
As
Welcome
Ingrid
back.
was fixing her hair as we got on
Got excited.
air. Welcome back to High Heels Happy Hour, the podcast where we talk about everything self-development and lifestyle, everything we want to talk about.
Well, whatever we feel like it.
This is our podcast that we talk about what we want to talk about. So I'm still Christina.
And I'm Ingrid.
Yes. And how has your week been, Ingrid? Our check-in.
We've been good. Last week or 2 weeks ago, I was not feeling great. So this is my first full week of feeling okay.
Okay.
So I can't complain.
Your stomach is talking to me.
I'm hungry.
Yes, you're hungry. You're hungry.
So other than that, that's all. It's already March.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah.
It's just,
so we're just almost one quarter down.
yeah.
Mm.
Ooh.
Q1 is almost done.
Time for the check-in for quarter one.
Yes, that's gonna come up.
Yeah.
But
how about you?
I'm getting ready to go out of town. I'm gonna go skiing.
Are you excited?
I am excited. Not that I'm not always excited when I have to go out of town because I'm a homebody. But I'm gonna go skiing, which is one of my favorite things to do in the world. Which you might have, if you heard our intro, from ski boots to combat boots.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be a skiing instructor when I was young, so I used to live on skis, in boots on skis. That's a little bit of an exaggeration. I didn't live on them, but I spent a lot of time on skis, which I loved. It was super fun. And then I moved to the States, and then I moved to Florida, and now I have barely skied at all in 10 years. In 10 years, I will say, when I turned 40, 10 years ago, I went to the Alps with my girlfriends. It was a fabulous trip. And then I have skied 2 days in 10 years. And now I'm going to go skiing again with girlfriends. So fun. Not to the Alps, but I'm going to go to Colorado.
Oh,
so yeah, it's one of my
probably get some really great cookies.
That's not why I'm going there. But I will say that it's one of my big regrets as a parent is that I have not taught my kids how to ski.
I assume they did know.
Nope, they have skied once in their entire lives. Well, Figgy skied once when he was 2.5, but I don't think that counts. Yes, because my husband does not like to ski. And living in Florida, it seemed like you have to go pretty far. Because I have to say, though, I can't just go to a little hill. That to me is like, no.
But to teach them.
Well, yes, but it didn't happen. So yes, we can go through and try to think of all the reasons why I should have, but I didn't. And it seemed like every time I brought up, we can go skiing, it was like, it was voted down. And the kids, of course, didn't know. They were like, nah, that doesn't sound fun. And then when they skied 2 years ago or something, my son was like, why have you not taught us to do this? Why are we just doing this now? So, yeah. Guilt, but oh well.
Now they're a little older. You can go on a trip together.
Well, I could, but now I'm going to go by myself with my girlfriends. So there you go. It's going to be so fun. I love skiing. It's my ultimate freedom feeling. Seeing a whole slope. And I just kind of look like, ooh, I start planning like where I'm going to turn.
So your freedom is my freak out.
Oh, yeah. See how different we are. Yes. No, I look at a slope and I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait. And then you just kind of start going and you find your trail and oh, I love it. It's so fun. Yeah. So I will report back on
I can't.
Very rarely do I freak out in the slope. If the conditions are terrible and the weather's terrible and it's a slope that's just so steep and I'm with someone who I know is not that I haven't skied that much. So I'm not that super duper I'm sure there will be
I would
plenty that would
probably
challenge
get
me.
on the top of the slope, take off my skis.
Well, you wouldn't have been the first person to do that.
And just
many
roll
people have
down.
done that. Many people have done that.
I'm like, there's no way in this earth that I am skiing down this slope.
Oh, well.
And plus, I wouldn't
never say never.
I wouldn't even make it up there. Never mind.
Yeah, I will say going on the lifts was one of the hardest things to do with beginners when I was an instructor. Because it's literally moving parts, and you're on some kind of contraption that you cannot, yes, and that they cannot control. I mean, I used to ski when I had kids. I used to have one on each leg, and then go up if it was kind of one of those anchor lifts. But in the sit lift, they look easy. It's really hard to get beginners up on those, so they know when to get off and get on. And there's a lot of panic. So it's
like when you get
getting up
escalator.
there. Sometimes it's if you've never done it, it's a bit challenging.
So we will see how Christina does.
Well, I'm not so worried about me. No, we'll be fine.
Well, no, I know you'll be fine, but just to see what happens, how it went.
Yeah. I'm sure it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt a lot because I got to use muscles that I haven't used in a while. So I'm going to be sore.
You'll be fine.
But happy.
Yeah.
Sore, but happy.
I love it.
Yeah. I'm sure I don't have as much because I could ski from sun up to sundown. I'm sure now I'm like, let's go for coffee, or it's cold, my butt hurts. So I'm sure it will be a lot more breaks than it used to be when I was younger.
And you said there's a lot of snow on the ground.
Yeah.
Should
be good. So, what is your hack?
I didn't come prepared.
Okay, so then I will share mine. And I might make this when I'm in Colorado because it's a new thing I just started doing. Those of you that have listened to this podcast before knows my new obsession with cottage cheese and my obsession with protein. So I got a recipe.
Obsessions.
You kill the bird with one stone. 2 birds with one stone. You put cottage cheese into your scrambled egg mix. So I always put a little milk. If you put a little dairy, you can put cheese sometimes. But you just put eggs and cottage cheese, and then salt and pepper, of course. It is so good, creamy. The cottage cheese, the kernels melt a little, it's creamy, fluffy, and you get so much protein. So good. Don't, what do you say? Don't, before you try it. Don't hate it before you try it. Spam has a commercial on TV. They say, don't knock it before you try it. Yes.
Ding, 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 ding.
There you go.
Oh, I have one.
Okay.
Apples.
Uh-huh.
When you cut them, they get oxidized.
Uh-huh.
So they get brown.
Yes.
So you slice them enough so they have a little bit of meat attached to them, and then you wrap them in a rubber band.
Oh.
So they don't get brown.
Oh.
So you cut them.
Okay.
And then you put them back together with the rubber band nice and tight. And then package it like that.
Okay.
So they don't get oxidized.
Yeah, so I usually cut them and then let them stick together in a plastic bag. But of course, sometimes they fall apart. Okay. Yeah. Rubber band. There you go. Okay, so today we're going to talk about working from home and how to sort of manage or even master working from home. And I think, since the pandemic, this is when we all worked at home. But I still think today, and we know today, that even though a lot of offices are back up and running, there is way more working from home in the workforce than ever before. And even if maybe it's not every day you work from home or work in the office, sometimes it's flex. So you do a few hours, a few days in the office and a few days home. But I do think this is the new way of working and living, that you don't need to be in an office. It's sometimes more efficient, but there's also a lot of downsides. And I think those are the things we have noticed over the last couple of years. Like, what are the pitfalls with working from home, productivity wise. And I want to tackle those today because I work from home, meaning my office is at home, but I'm usually out with my clients' homes most of the time. But I don't have a remote office. I mean, my office is at home. So some days when I work out of the office, I'm home all day. And you work home some days?
Work at home some days and then some at the spa.
Yeah.
But my office is at home.
Yeah. So we know the problems. We've been there, done that. So I want to talk about, and I love the title, from PJs to productivity.
Because that was a whole joke during the pandemic.
Yes.
You wear pajama pants and a really
but I think
nice
a lot of
top.
people still are
Yes.
in pajama pants.
I think they still just wear pajamas now because they don't have, there's no Zoom anymore. You just submit paperwork.
We're going to talk about that. So, but really the pro tips on how to master working from home. Okay. Are you ready?
Let's do this.
Okay. Are you ready to take notes? No, she doesn't need to because I did give her a copy of my notes. Number one.
Wow. Goodness.
Number one. Create a dedicated workspace. And that might sound like a no-brainer, like obviously. Can I just say, as an interior designer, this is something I see my clients struggle with a lot because we love the open floor plan. And we want to tear down all the walls, and all of a sudden
you can see everything.
We can see everything, we can hear everything, and there is no dedicated office space. So it's important to find, even if it's not a room. Personally, I don't have a closed off room. I have a dedicated area in our open floor plan that is my office space. But it needs to be a dedicated space. We need to give up the dining room table. That's something I see also as an interior designer. I come in and they go, yeah, this is the dining room. We never use it, so it's now it's my office. Which is, of course, I mean, depending on if you have a lot of room or not, can work out, but it's really not great because you haven't committed the space to either or. It's somewhat a dining and somewhat an office, but it's either. So finding that dedicated workspace where it's only your office, nothing else, is really important. And to finding, even if it's a corner, even if it's just an area of a desk in an open space, where you make it comfortable and productive for you, whatever your needs are. We all have different needs with how big a monitor we need or whatever. If you need a lot of paperwork or not so much. I need a lot of paperwork. I have cutouts and printouts, and I need a lot of shelf space. But to really find that dedicated workspace that is not also functioning as your dining room table.
I concur.
Yes, because otherwise also you're not creating the boundary between your professional life and your work life. So yes, you don't have a commute to work. So now you're constantly working, or it's constantly in that gray area.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden your kids are drawing on your important
your
documents.
blueprints.
And yeah, because could be. All right, so creating that dedicated workspace, super important, whatever. I actually did too. I'm going to link that. I have a video that I made during the pandemic of how you can create a workspace to kind of, if you need to block, if it's an open environment, how you can block off your workspace area to get some privacy without building walls.
Okay.
Yes. All right, number 2. This one's hard. Establish a routine. When you're working from home, it's really hard sometimes because you can work a little and then you can do the dishes and then you can do this and you can do that. It's kind of, oh, do I need to do laundry? Yes, it's really hard to find when you're working or when you're not working. So create those office hours. And I know we even did, I think we talked about this in Mary Kate too. We should have office hours. So you would create a little sign by your workspace that says mom's office hour or dad's office hours, and you put the hours so that everyone else knows, but also for yourself, hold yourself accountable to that routine, setting the hours so you can structure your day accordingly, and really setting time to for lunch or breaks or whatever it is, workout, schedule that in just like you would everything else, because otherwise everything is just floating and there's no real structure and nothing really gets done properly.
Yeah.
All right. Number 3 is this kind of, they all build on each other. Establish a startup and shutdown ritual. This is something Michael Hyatt talks about a lot, who does the full focus planner that I've talked about in the past. So not only the office hours, but also a routine, like you would going to the office, you would commute and then you would walk in and then you probably grab a cup of coffee and then you would sit down and you would read your emails or whatever it is the routine is in the office. Do the same. What is your startup routine? Have it lined out. Like my startup routine is this time I sit down and first I read emails, or first I go through whatever messages that clients have sent me or orders that have come in, whatever it is, but having that startup routine in the day. And then same thing at night. When your office hours are about to close, what is your shutdown routine? Or is the laptop going to be open all day, all night, and you're constantly going to be on it? Because then going back to relationships, we talked about sabotaging relationships last week. That's an easy way to sabotage a relationship, with constantly in work mode. So find that that ritual, startup and shutdown ritual, to kind of go from professional life to personal life, even if it's within the same four walls.
I think with Victor working from home now, we're considering getting a second phone for him.
Yeah.
Because when he's done with his shift, it is non-stop.
Oh, so that he's not answering that.
Well, not only answering, but all the calls come in. So it's just, even if he's on the phone answering, a personal email, he's getting all these notifications from work.
Yeah.
He's like, I think I'm gonna have to get a phone because this is, it's insane.
And when you don't have the physical start and end, like walking into the office, walking out of the office, mentally it really can deteriorate you're mentally never disconnected from work. So it can really lead to burnout so much quicker. Okay, this one, of course, as an image consultant, this one really works. Dress for success, meaning not PJs. So this is where I've and you've done all my classes and courses, and Ingrid's taken everything I've ever done. But it really is, you dress for the work you want, not necessarily the one you have. You step into the role. It's enclosed cognition. It's a serious term. It's a thing. You really step into the role as you dress. You can, just like Superman puts on his tights and cape, you can as well. And that's another way to really mark the start of your day, the end of your day, but start of your professional day. And then I'm someone who, when I'm home not working, I like, every time I come home, and if I've been out all day working, I like to put on sweatpants. I do not like to be in my regular clothes when I'm at home. But of course, if I'm not going out, I can sit in my sweatpants all day, and it's just does something to you. You're not as productive professionally. You might do more laundry, but not professionally. So really get dressed up, even if you don't have a Zoom. Maybe you don't need a full face of makeup if you're not going to see anyone, but putting on that professional,
even showering. When you're, some people, if they're not going to
always shower.
Well, no, I had this conversation. if they don't have to leave, they just get changed. And I'm like, no, oh my God.
Oh,
I think
no.
you have to shower,
No.
some coffee, get dressed. I will tell you, I am guilty of when I get home. If I'm getting home a little later than usual, I'm still in my scrubs or I'm still in my dress until right before I go to bed or right before I take a shower to go to bed.
Yeah, no, there's something my mom always did when she came home. She worked in
Victor
retail,
does.
so always the first thing she did was just change. So that's just ingrained within me. I have a hard time.
The kids all change.
Yeah.
I'm the only one that's the oddball.
So you need to work on that.
Yes.
Then. You need to work on not dressing for success, but dressing for leisure, dressing for family time.
Unwinding.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, number 5, and this one is hard. Kind of goes with all the other ones. Setting clear boundaries. Not just boundaries around where your workspace is, but boundaries for the other people in your household. So again, that mom's office hours sign, but it's also that could be your husband that thinks that he can pop in and ask you questions all day, or oh, why can't you just do this when you're home anyway? You're just home anyway.
That is a lot of disputment.
Yes. So important to set the boundaries and say, hey, between the hours of 9 and 5, I am working, except for my lunch hour at blah, blah, blah. And really communicate that with the people in your household that it's a non-negotiable. I know I'm over there in the corner, my corner, but still pretend like I'm not here.
And it goes also after, from when you clock out at 5.
Yeah.
You're now, the mom.
Yeah.
So then you're a mom.
Yes.
Because a lot of times we talked about this about, you're working and thinking of what you need to do with the kids. And then with the children, you're thinking about work. So if you set those boundaries, you just kind of like.
That's right. Not just for others, but also for yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. So important. Good point.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good point. Number 6, use technology wisely. Yes.
Oh,
so
man.
there are a lot of productivity tools. We have touched on them before. You might be in a remote team where you have other people you work with or interact with that sit elsewhere. And there are productivity tools like Monday or Asana or those that kind of keep track of projects, and you can sort of the progression of projects. But even for yourself, even if it's just you might need that kind of check-in or that tool to keep you accountable for what it is you need to do. And those are free. I have Monday. I don't use it all the time.
I might need
probably
Tuesday.
Use it more.
I'm just kidding.
But I have a free version and it works great. They start costing more when you have bigger teams, but when you have bigger teams, it's usually then split it and it's easier. Or you have a corporation that pays for it. But it really is. It's a great way to keep yourself accountable for what it is.
I have to look at that.
Productivity-wise. Yep. And you can also, if you're sitting remotely and you could use the video conferencing or Zoom or whatever, and I think we got a little over Zoomed for a while, but it's good to just have it as a check-in. There's so many apps, so many softwares these days that you can use to really check in with people. I have my accountability partner, Abby, who's been on our show at least twice, our technology guru. And she and we do a FaceTime or a Zoom every week and check in. We could do it over the phone, but we don't because we like to see each other.
Especially you're not in the same state.
Yeah. So that's it's great. Awesome. So you could do that use technology to your advantage in those situations and really connecting, even though you can't be in the same room physically. It's a great way of not getting too isolated. Number 7, take breaks and move. Go figure we would bring that up. So
I'm surprised.
Yeah, same thing. Sometimes when we work from home, we can get so into forget about time. And you are someone who would forget about eating. Yes. So make again, set those boundaries, that lunch hour, but also you can use the Pomodoro technique. If you don't know what that is, you got to listen to our earlier episodes. But you can use that for moving around. I love doing it on my watch. It tells me to move.
Yes.
Yeah. So you can do
Time
that.
to get up, Christina.
So you don't have the water cooler to go to in your house. I mean, I guess you could go to the tap or the fridge, but really getting those breaks in where you move a little. I am guilty of, when I work from home, I sit down too much. Before I had my iPhone, I watch Apple Watch, but now it tells me, move your fat ass, you've been sitting too. No, it does not use that language. That was my own.
You know what? I would not be surprised if you set it up that way.
It would be good. It was a little, that would be good. Apple spoke a little straight talk to you.
And you can't ignore it either. So it has to be.
It can't be like, and then it should be like the alarm. It should just go louder and louder
until
and louder.
You get up.
Yes.
Can you imagine? Okay, Apple, you're welcome.
Yeah, it'd be great. That'd be great. All right. So number 8, we talked about using technology to stay connected. But if you have a chance, do actual in-person meetings to stay connected. For instance, have lunch, schedule lunch with friends. Oh, we talked about the other week, and the importance of walking. Schedule a little break, a walking break with someone, or have a walking meeting with someone.
Yeah.
But to not be isolated constantly. Sometimes you need that human touch, physical.
Society got away from human everything.
And sometimes this one-dimensional doesn't give us everything. So important to see people in person as well. All right, number 9. This is going back to last week's, how we sabotage ourselves. Set realistic goals. So I think too, when we work from home and we think we have all the time in the world, like, oh, I got all day, I'm going to do this and this and this and this. So really break it down into prioritizations. Mary Kay taught us the 6 most important thing list. Having 6 things is kind of what the brain can
I always try to do like 14.
Yes, me too. I have that running list. It's just too much, and it's unrealistic that it just gets overwhelming.
I will finish.
Yeah, but that's why I like those online productivity tools like a Monday or Asana, because you can assign them in level of priority.
Okay.
So you can set it as a 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever color.
But they're all 1.
No, but that won't work. So you can kind of see more.
I'm gonna try that. That's
more visual. What's realistic to get done, and it will also tell you. Some of them will, if you set a goal that's too tight, or it will give you a message if you haven't finished what you were supposed to do. Yes, but really be realistic about what you can achieve in a day, and don't. We can all have big goals and dreams, but reality
has to kick in.
And then number 10, something we also talk about a lot: learn and upskill. Because if you don't learn something new, if you don't grow,
you die.
That's correct. My favorite saying. So now you don't have the commute back into work because you're working from home. So use that time that you would maybe spend stressed in traffic or on the subway or something.
That's a good
Use that time for maybe a walk and listen to podcast or a book or something educational that you're learning something about, where you can upskill yourself. Or you use it to watch YouTube. There's so many good YouTube shows too on different topics of how you can sharpen your
that is a really great
knowledge.
idea. A lot of people spend time on social media browsing or sleeping more, which sleeping you also do need
sleep
to
is
sleep.
important, but yeah,
not in
use
bed.
that
If you're
time
up,
that you're
just
not wasting. No, I
wisely.
mean wasting on, or that you're not physically commuting to something
Yeah,
by learning
I love
something
that.
new. Yes, and something here that I know you love: practice mindfulness and stress reduction. Yes. So depending on your situation, but sometimes we forget about our mind and our
Mhm.
and reducing stress. And I think too, when you're in an office setting, I know I used to be in corporate America, um, it's kind of built in that you have someone to vent to, and you
Mm.
can go and you meet people in the elevator, and you meet people in the coffee machine, the break room, and you can sort of vent something you have, or an issue with a client or an issue with a colleague. So you had that constant kind of outlet. If you work from yourself at home, you don't necessarily have that, and that can really
Get a
stress you
punching
out.
bag.
You could get a punching bag, but you might need to have that, and that's why having that built-in time with other
Mhm.
people, either online or via
Or even
Zoom or in
what you just
person.
said too is learning to upskill
Hmm.
is that mindfulness is again having that commute when you're done,
Hmm.
having that downtime to unwind. Same thing.
Yeah,
That will be your
yeah.
kind of a stress
Maybe
reliever.
that's when you do meditation, like Danielle taught us with the tissue. See,
Yes.
you have time for that when you don't have a commute to work.
See,
Or
we're
you could do
giving
that
you so
breathing
many things.
exercises and all that. Yep. And again, something we talked about last week, we talk about every week: prioritize self care. Yeah, scheduling in that time for a walk, stand up, move around, but also things maybe, or definitely from that time when you're not working, that you're doing something fun outside, and not get stuck constantly working.
It's no
So
fun.
make time for all the things outside of outside of the working hours. Yeah. So it's about that balance, but I think it's the lines get blurry when we work from home. What's personal life, what's work life, and sometimes it's great that we have the flexibility of
Mhm.
being able to deal with, maybe someone's coming to fix your plumbing or whatever, and you work from home, so you don't have to take the day off to wait for them. You're
Mm.
there anyway. Those are the
Luxuries,
upsides, the
yeah.
luxuries of working from home, where you can be there if the kids, when they come home, and you just need someone to be there. But it can also really kind of get
Could be a
fuzzy.
blessing or a curse.
Absolutely. So finding those boundaries, physical and mental, is important. Was that helpful, you think?
Yes, I'm gonna look on those apps because I have a list of
Hmm.
like 14 things
Hmm.
ongoing, and I don't put them in order of priority because I think they're all important.
Yeah,
But
but
I
it
kind
makes
of
you
just
think, like, is this really as
Mhm.
important as that is? And you kind of, yeah, classify it accordingly.
And the office. Sometimes I move my
Mhm.
stuff to the dining room because
Mhm.
I'll have a cup of coffee and I'll just sit on the table and then I
And
sit
you
with the
might remember
planner.
too, connecting back to last week, we talked about one of your husband's pet peeves
Yes,
was the unorganized
yes.
house. Well, that could lead to that. So if you have an office,
Hmm.
if you keep your clutter there, maybe he
Good. That
won't
sounds like a
be.
great idea. It's
I
just
know.
Ingrid's brain doesn't
Well,
work that
so
way.
she's gonna start working on
Yes,
that
no,
now.
I think we're not, I know we are all
Hmm.
in progress.
Yes.
But
Thank
being
goodness.
aware
Thank
and
goodness we're in
him
progress.
him actually saying it.
Hmm.
At first I was like, really?
Hmm.
And then immediately I was like, oh, he's right.
Yeah.
But I didn't say that. So
No, because we hate when they're
I
right.
don't need to say that.
All right.
So
Okay. So
I don't know. These
master,
episodes
no
get
more PJs. Find your space, set your boundaries, and have your office hours, and then your time off.
have your cake and eat it too.
Have your cake and eat it too. Have a little cake. Why not? Until next time, check out my video in the show notes and
try some cottage cheese with some eggs.
Try some cottage cheese with some eggs. And what else were we
apples.
doing? And apples with rubber bands.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.